listeners and supporters of Hindsight Media Radio 103.5 FM. Tune in Mondays at 7 p.m. for Keeping It Real with Miss T, where we give you tea with a twist. Visit our website at www.hindsightmediaradio.com, where there is always something good to talk about. Hindsighters, welcome to Keeping It Real with Miss T, where we give you the real tea with a twist. Please remember to visit our website at www.hindsightmediaradio.com. Subscribe, share, donate, and advertise, where there is always something good to talk about. Also visit our Facebook page at Keeping It Real with Miss T, hyphen Tea with a Twist. I am your host, Miss Ty, and joining me tonight, I have my good friend, Miss Shaneque Metellus, and of course, as always, listeners, you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Shaneque, welcome to the podcast. How are you this evening?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, listeners, tonight, Shaneque is going to share, well, before I get started with that, we all know that it is Black History Month. And one thing great about the Black or the African American community or cultural, it is so broad and so beautiful in so many aspects. So tonight I wanted Shaneque to come on and share her journey. She's going to talk to you guys about immigrating from Haiti to the U.S. And guys, when I tell you her story is real, it is raw, and it's necessary for so many people to hear, because I'm sure there are others out there that want to lend the voice but don't know how to share it or who to share it with. So we're going to use this platform tonight to allow her to share, and maybe this will help heal other people and help them to speak out and possibly in some form reach back out to their country and help, because there is still a great need there in Haiti to this day. And we know that there are many celebrities that possibly go help, but as we know, there is never enough. So the more hands you have, the more people you have that are willing to go to Haiti and to help build them, with the politics and so many other things. And Shaneque's going to touch on those things as well, to get it in a better place. We know that it's a need on a daily basis. So tonight, like I stated, Shaneque is going to share the raw and the real of her experiences. So let me make that clear. These are her experiences from her end and what she knows from her family and friends from near and far. So Shaneque, again, I truly do thank you. And I just want you to tell the listeners, I know that people really, they brutally murder your name. I have heard people just screw your name up. So what I would like for you to give to the listeners, tell them how to properly pronounce your name in Haitian, and then, or if it's Creole, French, what have you, and then in English, how it's said. And then I want you to share, just for some comedy of it, what you've heard people say your first and last name, how you've heard that.
All right. Well, the traditional way to say it in Creole is Shaneque. All right? Shaneque, Shaneque. But like they say, your baby name that we used to call me Shanika would be like a nickname, or Shashu for me. But growing up in school, I was born in 1977. So there you go. I'm telling my age. So around 1977, I guess my name was not common. But then you had other kids who were being born in Florida, or other kids who were born in the Bahamas, who came into the U.S. So Shaneque or Shaniqua was popular. I don't know if you remember the Martin show, and I think Lolo was her name. Yo-Yo was her name. She played Shanae's friend, Shaniqua. Wow. So it became a common joke that people would purposely call me Shaniqua or Shanika, but my name is Shaneque. But in English, the closest I've seen people being able to say it, is Shaneque. So I go by Shaneque. But growing up, I hated when people called me Shaniqua or they call me Shanika. And I'm like, that's not my name. But, the older you get, you just understand that people assume that it's something that it's not. So you just smile with it and, you just take it. But when I was younger, I hated it so much. And I used to always get in battles with them. My name is not Shaniqua, it's Shaneque. So, but as you get older, you accept it. And sometimes I've been called, like if I leave a message, I'll leave a message for the patient saying, this is Shaneque, and I'm calling from the doctor's office to remind you of an appointment, or I need something from you. And they'll call back, well, I'm calling back for Shaniqua. I'm like, I didn't even say Shaniqua. But, you take it. I'm older now, so they could call me Shaniqua, Shanae, Shalulu.
Oh, no.
It's all right.
No, your name is Shaneque or Shaneque, and that's what they should call you, by your name.
Yeah.
Once you've once you've shared with them what your name truly is, the respectful thing to do, and if you don't know, ask. Say, I possibly may not get this right, but will you please tell me what the correct name, what your correct name is, how to correctly pronounce it. And it's a thing of respect, and it becomes a thing where you have to listen, because that what your name is, it can be offensive when you've told someone repeatedly what your name is, and it can be hard, some names to admit. However, but once a person's told you, after a few times, you may have to study it and say it out loud to yourself over and over and over to make sure that you're respecting that individual whom you're speaking with.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because even as I became older and I started looking for employment, when I was in Florida, it was okay for me to put my full name on my resume. It wasn't an issue because I was living in a state where Shaneque and Shanekas and Shanequas was a common name, and it was popular. Majority of us, the Haitians, we're the minorities over there. We're not the majorities. And that state, we're an island state. So, but when I moved to Georgia, I felt as if me seeking employment, sometimes I was not being called back because of my name. And so I started not putting my full name. I would just put S. Metellus to give that person an opportunity to call me and not discredit me because my name was Shaneque, or if they probably thought the pronunciation was Shaniqua. So for me, I've learned to, because when I moved to Georgia and I saw a difference in, like I tell people that a lot, that when I moved to Georgia is when I first experienced racism. Because like I said, in Florida, we're the majority. Everywhere you go, you found one other person that spoke Creole. If they didn't speak Creole, they spoke Spanish. So we were the majorities. We had more of us than we had Americans in our class, and we didn't have a lot of Caucasians growing up where we lived. So we were the majorities. But when I moved here, I was the minority, and I started to see people interact with me differently. We were having a conversation. Where were we? I was at a special, I'm part of this special council for our school district. And one of the things that came up is like how people who are not of color will speak to us as if they are of color. For example, they could see me and say, "Hey, girl, how was your weekend? I hope you had a great holiday, girl." And then they'll turn around to someone else who is not African American and say, "Yeah, wasn't it a beautiful winter? We didn't have any snow." And I'm like, why do they feel as if that they have to speak a certain way?
Stereotype.
I don't even speak that way. Yeah, I don't even speak that when there's nothing against my sisters and my girls that do speak like that, but I don't speak like that. But for and what I said to them at the meeting is that sometimes some of them do know what they're doing, and some of them unconsciously they do it thinking that that's how they can relate to me by saying girl and putting their hands up. And I'm like, that's inappropriate. And I do take offense to it. And one of them said, "You know what? I used to do that and I will no longer do that." And she said, "I did it unconsciously thinking that that was my way to relate to another person." And I was like, yeah, but some of us do take offense to it. And I personally take offense to
Oh, yeah, I get that all the time, all the time. They see you and they automatically think that because you are a person of color, that you speak in certain dialects and certain tones or use certain words. And oftentimes the crazy part is I don't even know what the heck it means when I'm like, well,
Exactly.
maybe you're more hip in the culture of color than I am, because I don't even know what the heck that means. What does that word mean
Exactly.
exactly?
Yeah.
But they think
Mhm.
because automatically stereotyping you because you have a brown skin that everyone
Mhm.
speaks in the same language or we use the same words. My thing is, once
Mhm.
again, like I stated, this is Black History Month, but it's not just in February. Black history is year round. Black is
You're
year
wrong.
round. We're people every day. We're people year
Mhm.
round. We should not just be geared to just February. It has
Mhm.
to be all the time, every day of life, just like everybody else. So it shouldn't just be a prominency just for that specific month. It's
Mhm.
throughout. So, it's crazy when you do hear that. And it's like, what's so great about the cultural the culture is that it's beautiful, it's broad,
Yes.
it's so many, it's dynamic and it's fearful and it's fearless, and it's just amazing to see the creativity and the colorism of it all is gorgeous, and it's different tones, skins and shades, and wow, it's just good,
Mhm.
so yeah, I thank you for that. So speaking of your language, to ask you, is Creole or French your native language? And if so, what are some of your favorite words or sayings in Creole translating to English?
Well, Creole is our native language. Most people who get the opportunity to go to school in Haiti speak French because they are taught French in school. But
Hmm.
we have a school system where here we have public school. In Haiti, we do not have public school. So every child that has the opportunity to go to school, their parents have to pay for it. So all schools are private. So you
Mm.
have a large amount of kids that, if they're fortunate to go to school while they're in primary, which we call elementary, a lot of them do not go past the fifth grade. Like my mom, her parents were able to pay for her to go to school, but she did not have more than a fifth grade education back home.
Wow.
So paying for school is a big burden for a lot of families. My husband, he still has a sister who passed away a couple of years ago, but he still helps pay for her two of her kids, three of her kids' school every
Wow.
year. We have to pay for school up front every year at the beginning of the year so the kids can go to school. So if you are fortunate enough to go to school, my husband, he went all the way through college, but some kids do not get that opportunity. So most of them at least get that elementary school, and then after middle school and high school, their parents can't afford it, especially if they have more than one child. So a lot of kids don't get a lot of education. But Creole is the native language, and if you're fortunate, you can learn French and some English while you are in school. So for me, Creole is what me and my husband speak to each other. And me and him had a big fight after we got married because he said what I would do is, like, when I'm at home with him, I would speak Creole. And then he had been in the U.S. maybe 3 years at that time. So
Hmm.
I came here when I was 2 months old. So I would speak to him like Shelly is like sweetie or baby or sweetheart. And I
Hmm.
would speak to him in Creole, and he would be like, why do you speak to me in Creole? Why don't you speak with me in English? Because when you're talking to other people, you speak English. I said,
Mm.
well, the only reason why I do that is because my parents, when they spoke their love language to each other, they spoke it in Creole. So I don't
Mm.
know how to say, hey, I love you, babe. How you doing, babe? I don't know how to speak like that because that's not what my dad and my mom
Oh,
would speak to
wow.
each other when she would call him to check on work and say, chérie, ou manger? That means baby or love. Did you eat? Did you have lunch today? So I'm
Hmm.
used to hearing her interact with him that way. So he took offense as if that I did not want to speak English with him to help him practice his English skills. And it's like, no, babe, it's not that. I just know how to express the love in Creole because that's what my parents did. So he got over it, but at first he thought that I was trying to hold him back by not speaking and practice English with him. I said the only way I knew was to do it in Creole. But some of my favorite words, like Shelly, and I'll say it all the time. Shelly is like love or sweetheart. Um, when Elijah was a baby, he didn't know that my name. He didn't. You know how American kids, their first words are either mama or dada or mom or dad.
Uh-huh.
Elijah's first word was baby. because that's what Mario called me. So he would just hear baby, and then we were at church one day. He was like, baby, baby, papa, papa. They're like, who is he talking to? I'm like, he's talking to me. He doesn't hear my husband call me anything else but baby. So it's like baby, baby, baba. So he didn't get a chance to say mama. His second word was dada, but his first word was baby, thinking he was calling me, baby as mom. But Shelly is one of my favorite words. It's a word of endearment. It's like love or sweetheart. So Shelly is one of my favorite words. And I did do my kids a little of a disservice where I do not speak a lot of Creole with them, but they do know the important words like shita, sit, couche, go to sleep, stop talking, or we have a thing I say, bum tep my, give me my head, like get out of my head space. You guys are making too much noise. So they know they may not speak it as well, but they understand, or either my tone, let them understand, hey, mom is not playing. We need to stop what we're doing.
Good stuff. Thank you for that awesome share. Because you know me, I'm always trying to learn something new so I can adapt these words and can relate. So I appreciate that share, and I'm sure the listeners appreciate it as well. So in Haiti, where were you born and reared? Well, you said you came to the U.S. when you were 2 months, but pre that arrival to the U.S., what part of Haiti were you born and reared in?
See, I wear my badge of Haitian really proud that a lot of people don't know that I was not physically born in Haiti. I was conceived in Haiti, and a lot of people in the 70s and even now, a lot of our parents were trying to give us a better life. My mom already had 3 kids who were older than me who were born in Haiti. So I was her fourth. And being her fourth child, she decided that she did not want to have me in Haiti. She wanted to have me in the U.S. And the closest state to her was Florida. So she's pregnant with me, and she decides to get on a boat full with a lot of other people trying to do the same thing, flee a country for a better life for their family, either for the family that they're going to start here or for the family that they currently have in Haiti. So she makes the journey with me in her belly, thinking that she's going to leave Haiti on a boat with a whole bunch of other people, that they're going to make it to Florida, and in Florida she'll have me. But it wasn't her time, and it wasn't something that God wanted her to go all the way straight from Haiti to Florida. So there was bad weather. So the boat, now when you think of a boat, we're not thinking of like a cruise line or even like a yacht. This is just like a fisherman's boat that has nothing over it, and it's just people paddling, taking turns paddling from one point to another. Wow. So this boat is already full with a lot of people, and it's bad weather. So they could not make it to Florida, so they had to detour to the Bahamas, which a lot of people do that. They go from Haiti to Bahamas, where they can blend in as African Americans, live there and be immigrant to another country, and then make their way here to the U.S. So here she is, pregnant with me, and her plan was to come from Haiti to Florida, but she couldn't make it. So she had to detour to the Bahamas, and then she had me in the Bahamas. And wow. So when she had me in the Bahamas, 2 months later, now that boat that was supposed to come here, they had already detoured to the Bahamas, and like a couple of weeks later, she said they had left. So she could not leave with that same group. So that money that she paid, she has now lost, and now here she is in the Bahamas. She is now an immigrant to another foreign country, and she has a newborn baby. So then she had to pay money again to pay another boat person to take her from the Bahamas to Florida. So she paid the money, and she's on there. They said, just add to him again, and all she could do is just breastfeed me, and you had other people that had kids. You had older people, younger people, you had married couples, you had other people with children. She said she had another lady that her baby was probably 1 week old. And so they're battling the rough seas, and then they make it to Florida. When we get to Florida, they arrested us. So back then they had people that we used to call them like I forget how you say in English, but policiers sous la main. So they had like the Coast Guard, that's how you say in English. The Coast Guard who saw the boat And so what they do is they allow you to safely make it, because they will not take us off of the boat, because if they take us off of the boat, then technically we can stay. So they wait till you actually get to Florida, so then now you have illegally entered the U.S. So once we get there, they let the boat, we jump off, and then they arrested everyone. And back then, this was pre-9/11, so things were a little bit differently. So we got here, and then they detained my mom with me, and they detained everyone else, and they put us what we call Tent City. So they had us living there, and basically they gave my mom the opportunity to call once a week to her family here in the U.S., which was my father's family, so that we can make contact with them and say, hey, we're here, we need your help. And so they had to come show proof of documentation that they could financially support us. If they could not show proof that they could financially support us, then they were going to deport us back to Haiti, because they don't want you to come here and take, the food stamps and the Medicaid, because they want to know that you're going to come here and that you can support yourself or your family can support you. So I think my mom said we were there for almost 3 or 4 weeks or something like that. And then our family was able to come up with all the documents, and so they let us go. And so my mom, we stayed with my grandparents, my grandmother and her kids for a while. And then my mom felt uncomfortable staying with them because this was my father's family. So she left me with them. I think I was with them until maybe 4 years old, and she would always work being a housekeeper, and then she would send money. And then when she was able to make enough money, that's when she took me, and then me and her, we lived together. And then further on, she had my brothers, and she married my stepdad. So that was our journey. So we were detoured because of bad weather. So I was physically born in the Bahamas, but back then, because I was born in the Bahamas, that did not make me a Bahamian. The law is you are a citizen of your mother and father's birth country. So since both of my parents were Haitian, I am Haitian, not Bahamian. And even though when we became legal, as a younger child, they gave me a Haitian passport, not a Bahamian passport, because both of my parents were Haitian. So if I was born in Cuba, I would still be Haitian because my mother and my father are both Haitian and not Cuban. So it doesn't matter where I was born. So that's why I wear my my shield of Haitian, because I am Haitian, even though I was not physically born in the country.
Wow, good stuff, good stuff. Well, Hindsighters, you are listening to Keeping It Real with Miss T, where we give you the real tea with a twist. We'll be right back after this break.
Does your company look or logo need a facelift? Help is on the way. The Spalding Agency is a brand design firm specializing in art direction, advertising, and marketing communications. They are a proud sponsor of Tea with a Twist. Visit online at spaldingagency.com. Follow at Spalding Agency on Facebook or call 404-487-8632 for all your creative needs. The Spalding Agency.
Welcome back, Hindsighters, and thank you for joining us on this evening. If you're just joining us, I want you to know that we're being educated today on my good girlfriend, Shaneque Metellus, and she's just sharing her journey from Haiti to the U.S., and this is real and this is raw from her experiences in life, given the year of Black History, not just the month of Black History. So we thank you guys for tuning in, and we're going to keep this conversation going because this is some good stuff. And I just definitely feel that there is so much more for us to learn and to share from Shaneque's experience. So again, Shaneque, thank you for being on this call tonight and to share your raw and real story to the listeners. And my hope is that there will be others that definitely share their experiences, and so we can better as a country help other countries that are definitely going through this. Absolutely, absolutely. So before we went on break, you were just giving us some great sharing about the process that your mom went through, and you talked about how during the process of you being in her belly and thinking that you guys are going to be able to go straight to Florida, but that didn't happen due to the detour. You guys were detained and sent to Bahamas. And at some point, you had the opportunity to finally get to Florida to your dad's side of the family. Now, what I want to ask you is that when did your dad come over, and what was that journey like for him, if you have any knowledge of that? And were the three siblings that were pre you, they came with your dad, but what was their process like?
See, the funny thing is that my dad never had the opportunity to make it to the U.S. He never came. So he wanted the better life for us, but he knew that if he were to come to the U.S., he would have to start all over again. He was a businessman. He was educated, and he had casinos in the Bahamas. So he felt as if that if he were to come here, that he would have to start over. So when my mom wanted to come, he said, I agree, it would be better for my unborn child to have a better opportunity because she's a girl. She may not want to come into the life of the casino or the clubs and stuff like that. I would prefer her come to the U.S. and get an education. So he agreed with my mom to come, and that's why he did not come. He never planned to come. And so a lot of times people don't realize that a lot of times when the families come, not all of them come as a unit. Because I remember my stepdad, who I didn't even know was my dad. I can speak to you now about my real dad, but at the time I didn't know I had another dad. Because like I said, I was little. And my mom, I think she met my dad when I was 4.5. Because remember I told you when I was about 4, that's when she was able to afford for me and her to live together. And at that time, my stepdad was there. So I thought my stepdad was my dad. And then we had my other little brothers. And it was not until I was like maybe 12 or 13. I remember it was one day my mom had said we had to thaw out the refrigerator so we can clean it. And I'm in the refrigerator just cleaning the refrigerator down. And then I had a cousin come over and say, oh, my cousin's auntie. Oh, Shaneque, my mom wanted me to tell you that Shaneque's dad passed away. And then I remember hearing that, and then I wake up on the couch. When I wake up on the couch, my dad is there. And I'm like, what? That's like a sick joke for her to come and say that my dad is gone, but my dad is on here sitting next to me on the couch. And so at that time is when they had the conversation with me that my stepdad is not really my dad, that my dad was in the Bahamas and stuff like that. I was like, what? I never even knew. So my dad never had the opportunity to come. And by then, my mother started the steps for her to become a legal resident. You know, at first you have to become a legal resident before you can become a U.S. citizen. So I remember her waking up like at 4 o'clock in the morning for us to go get in line by 5. The immigration office opened at 7. So we would stand in line for 2 hours just to wait to get in. And sometimes you would get to the front and they tell you they've reached your max. You have to come back another day. But she was persistent. She continued to go, and we became legal residents. Alien is what they call them. So we got our green cards. And when we got our green cards, then we were able to do certain things that she was not able to because she was working as a housekeeper on the beach. And I'll never forget, my dad would, her and him would have discussions about why do you go to work? You're only making $2.50 an hour, and you basically use all of that to pay for your bus pass. Because she would say, you know, I did not come to this country for me to sit at home. I came to this country to do something with myself. So she felt validated getting up every day, getting dressed in her uniform, packing her lunch so she can go to the beach so she can work as a housekeeper on South Beach. And my dad never understood the concept of you working just to pay for the bus pass. But for her, she felt that was an accomplishment for her, for someone who migrated to this country. She didn't want to just be a stay-at-home mom. So for her, it was a big deal. But for him, he was like, it's just a waste because, you know, you're just spending money on the bus pass, and what you bring home does not even pay enough just to put the kids in aftercare for school. That, you know, my mom, she was one of those women that when she wanted to do something, she was going to do it. And then he accepted it, and he allowed her to do what she wanted to do, which is she wanted to get up every morning just like she did and go to work. She did not want to stay at home. So for a long time, she worked, and then she always wanted to become a citizen, but she feared because she did not have more than a fifth grade education, that was going to be hard for her to pass. And my father, for the type of man that he is, I think he had at least high school graduation, so he was able to read and write, where my mom was not able to. So he knew that if he went, he possibly would have passed, but he never wanted to go and do his citizenship until he knew she was the one that wanted to take that step, because he did not want to go and then he passed and then she not passed. So mommy went a couple of times and she did not pass, and she could not retain the information. They would ask her these questions, and she just would mess up every single time. So when she got in her 60s is where they would give you an assistant, where someone will interpret the questions for you in your native language, and then she was able to become a U.S. citizen. And I'll tell you, that was like the proudest moment of her life when she became a U.S. citizen, because she worked so hard for it. And then after she became, then my dad went. And that is something that I love about this man that people don't know. It's like, he's my dad. He's not my stepdad. He's my dad. He has taught me how a man should love a woman, because he loved her so much that he did not want to go get his, because he knew what that would mean for him and what doors that would open for him in regards to benefits as a senior or what have you. But he knew that if he did it before her, she would be hurt, that she knew that she couldn't. So he held off until she got hers, and then he went, and then he got his citizenship. And then later on, after I got married to my husband, and, my husband, he didn't have the same journey as me. And I tell him that all the time. My husband, when he came here, he came on American Airlines, his passport and $200 in his pocket. Wow. I said, you were not detained, and you did not have to spend months in Tent City, because his father applied for him, because his father was in the U.S., so his father applied for him to come. So when my husband, Mario, came over, he was already legal. So when he came, he went straight to work. But he did understand the struggle, even though he came here legally, and we did not come here legally, even though he was a mechanical engineer in Haiti. When he came, one of his first jobs was a dishwasher. He did it for 2 or 3 days. And he said, no, I'm not going to do that. So he went to school so he could learn English, and he still stayed in the realms of the mechanic. And then he went to school so he could become a mechanic and get certified in the U.S. But my husband's journey and ours were totally different. But when we come here, we're all immigrants. They don't care if you have your paper, you don't have your paper, you don't speak the language of the land. So guess what? You're going to have to start at the bottom. And you have a lot of people that opt not to come because of that. You spend so many years in school, and when you come here, you have to start all over again.
Wow. So you stated that your husband's experience was vastly different from that of your family.
Mm-hmm.
What made their experience so much different? I mean, I get you explained that, but how did his parents get over to the U.S.? Did they have to go through the same things that your mom, his parents have to go through the same thing that your mom went through in order to come over? Or how was theirs so much different? How did they get over?
Money. They had money. So
right.
My parents did not have money. So my husband's father, his uncle brought him to the U.S. So his uncle had money to apply for him to come. So my husband's father came here, and he came here legally. So he started his own handyman work. He did constructions. He had people working under him. So he had money. My husband's father, I think we still don't know for sure how many kids he has, but he has at least 9 that we know of. And he brought every single one of them from Haiti to the U.S. because he had money.
Wow.
My mom, she was the first generation. She had no aunts or uncles here. So my mom opened the door for her nieces and nephews for them to come because she was the first. So that's the difference. When you have money, then you can have someone that came here. Either they came here legal and then became legal to bring you, because most of the times that's what you have to do. You have to have someone, or unless you find someone you can marry, you fall in love with, and you marry. So most of the time it's not common for that to happen. It's usually you come through from a family member. But now things have changed where before you could bring a sibling, your parents, your sibling, and even a distant relative or cousin. Now, after 9/11, they've changed it. Now you can only bring a parent. You cannot even bring a sibling
Oh, wow.
to the U.S. And my mom did apply for my siblings as well. One of my brothers, he did not want to come. He said he wasn't going to come here and start over. The other two, which was my sister and my brother that came before me, my mom applied, and it does take a while. So my sister passed away during her process, and my brother also passed away during their process. So she did apply for them, but it just took so long for her, one, to come up with the money and the resources, because when you apply, you have to show proof that you can support your family member coming. So since she was working under the table for so many years as a housekeeper, that did not count. So when she got her U.S. her green card, then that's when she was making money that the government recognized. So it took us a while for her to build that so that she can show proof that she was working, making her own money so that she can bring the kids over. But then my sister tragically passed away. And then a couple of years later, when I was married, maybe a year, my brother passed away from a bleeding ulcer, because our medical system is not too good in our country. Yes, we have hospitals, but the doctor will not touch you until you either pay or you give a deposit, and majority of them must pay up front. So in the process of him being sick with the ulcers, we knew he had ulcers. He would go back and forth to the hospital. My mom sent the transfer of the money for him to go to the hospital. So they took him to the hospital. They turned him away because he was there a couple of days later. They said, well, we can just go ahead and give him the IV, but you need to have your family send the money. So his girlfriend at the time went to go pick up the money from the transfer place to go pay, and he died waiting for them to process the thing because he bled to death. But that's just how we take for granted walking into an ER, insurance or no insurance, they can't turn you away. In Haiti, they can and they will turn you away if you don't have the money up front to be saved.
Wow. So with that awesome share, you did speak on a little bit of how you're wearing that badge of honor that's your Haitian. That's your badge of honor. You bleed that, you believe in that. So with that being said, share with the listeners a little bit about the Haitian culture, a little bit more about it, the good, the bad, the ugly, and how immigrating to the United States has been for you and your family specifically.
Well, I wear my badge of honor of Haiti because I know where we come from. We were, while the United States of America was still dealing with slavery, we defeated the French. So we were like, you know what? You're not going to come here and take over our country and make us second-class citizens of a country that we built and we made. So we went to war and we won. And so because of that, we were the first to end slavery. And believe it or not, we're the first to end slavery, but then we're still living in a third world country now in 2020. So I wear my pride because I know when we put our head together, what we can overcome. And for me to see my parents come here as immigrants, not what you see on TV, I lived it. I lived it. We breathed it every day as a child for my parents to get up and go to work and not have enough money so we can eat rice. You could eat white rice every night for dinner. And I've seen when they tried everything that they could so they can work hard as a housekeeper. My daddy working in a factory put me through private school. And I tell people this all the time. I never realized I was poor growing up until I got married. When I got married, my husband and I think we had a savings of maybe $3,000. After a couple of months, that money was gone. And I remember getting paid and like paying rent. And I was like, how did my parents do it? Making less than minimum wage and 6 kids. I'm like, how was that even humanly possible? And so I tell my dad said, yeah, you never went without. You always had nice clothes. It may not have been the best clothes, but they were always nice and ironed. So I never realized how much we didn't have until I got married as an adult to see how much sacrifice my parents, had to do. And that's why in our culture, we are a prideful country. We are proud. We may not have nice, like if you see the kids going to school, they may live in a one-room shack with 5 or 6 people, but those kids, when they go to school, their clothes are ironed, their face are clean, their hair are perfectly combed. They take pride in what it is that they can do, even though we may not live lavishly, but we are very prideful in what we do. And like even my kids sometimes, like my son especially, they're like, well, Mom, why do I always have to look perfect? I said, it's not you're looking perfect, but I said, son, you're a brown boy. You're a Haitian boy, all right? And people may consider you to be African American. So you already have all these X's already against you. I said, you don't want to give them one more thing to talk about you or to put you down for is your clothes. I said, the least I can do is saying you look into school presentable. I can't change your skin color. I can't change that you're Haitian, and I can't change that people may think that you're African American. But what I can do is that when you do go, that you're going to be presentable and you're going to look clean. So it took him a while to get it, and I think now in his teens he gets it, that he sees what people will pick or make fun of other people that are not put together and look presentable, because I'm like, you already have all these other factors against you. You're a male. You're African American. You're Haitian. I mean, you have too many things against you that I don't want them to pick on your clothes. I don't want them to pick on your grammar. That's when you're going to do your best and you're going to work hard so that way you can have less strikes against you as you grow up. But back to the culture, we're very prideful and we take pride in everything that we do. And so that's why I just love my country, because I know when my people come together, what we can do. And right now, like if you see some of the news that are coming out of my country, it's horrible right now. I think we are our biggest defeat ourselves, our Haitian people. Right now, they're not happy with the president that we have. They're not happy with how and what he is doing for the country. So what they're doing is they're burning the country down. They're killing innocent people, having protests, shooting for no reason. I'm not going to say for no reason. They're shooting and they're reacting and they're protesting because they don't like the president. But what they forget is that after you've burned down the supermarket, after you killed your innocent kids, and you have now fathers without children, children without fathers or mothers, what happens? That president is either going to take another term or he's going to leave, but then the country is still in distress. The country is no better than it was before this president. So right now they're burning the country down because they want the president to leave. And for selfish reasons for himself, he is not removing himself. So every day we're losing innocent lives because my own people are trying to show the president they want him to leave. But what they're forgetting is that they're hurting our own country by burning down the cities and shooting and robbing and looting and doing all these other things, because they want this president to leave. So sometimes I think in my country, that's the reason why we have not been able to be one of the tourist attractions or be one of those places where people go for vacation. And I mean, back in the day, we had beautiful tourism. We had beautiful beaches, just like the Bahamas, the Dominican Republic. We share the same island with the Dominican Republic. There's just an invisible line that says one side is Dominican Republic and one side is Haiti. We have the same beautiful oceans, the same views. But why? Because our country is such disarray that people don't want to come and vacation and help bring the economy up in our country. So because we're doing ourselves a disservice and we're tearing down the country, we can't even help ourselves. And I remember when at the intro you said, for people to come and try to help us. And what happened is that when people do come and try to help, the government takes the money and it never gets down to the little people. In 2010, when we had that devastating earthquake, do you know we still have Tent City after 2010 years later? There's still people who are displaced who live in tents. Still, that makes no sense when we know that the government sent money over there. Where did that money go? It never got down to the little people that really need it. So, I share my story with you today to let you know where I came from, why I'm here. And the other day I was having a conversation with my husband saying that, I want to take my kids back to the country. And my husband's like, I really don't agree with you. I don't want to take the kids back. And I was like, what do you mean? Wow. I really want my kids to know, because sometimes, you may think the kids take for granted that they could just flip the lights and the lights are on, or turn on the faucet and they have running water. I want them to know how it is back home where you don't have those luxuries, things that they take for granted. God forbid, there's a storm and Xfinity is not working. Oh, Mom, you got to call Comcast. I'm like, these kids don't even know what
No.
Wi-Fi is in their country.
Yeah.
But he is like, when you go and you come from the U.S., just like how they have in Mexico, they would kidnap you. They'll
Wow.
kidnap you and then send horrible videos to your family and ask for ransom. And sometimes they will hurt you or they'll kill you, or sometimes they won't. But to put yourself in that situation, for you to be kidnapped, and it's not that we're millionaires. We're not millionaires, but you are better off than them in their country. So they will kidnap you and ask your family for for $50,000-$100,000 a year.
Wow.
And they're not thinking that most of these people that are here don't even make $100,000 a year themselves. If they make $30,000 a year, and they don't even get all of that up front. But they would do those type of things. If you do go back, they call us bourgeoisies. So they think that you're from the U.S. and you have money, you got nice luggage, and you have clothes, and you're coming. So they think that you're better off. So they would kidnap you and then send nasty videos and call your family and say, hey, if you don't send $50,000 or $100,000, we're going to kill your loved one. And most of the time, what ends up happening this time is that the people die because guess what? We don't realistically have that type of money here.
Wow.
We don't have it. So people are losing their lives. And so my husband said he doesn't think it's a good idea for us to bring the kids back because he fears that people are going to assume that we have all of this money and possibly kidnap us or one of the kids. And most of the time that usually happens from the airport to where you're going to stay, or if you're going to stay in the village, they know that you have visitors from out of town, then people will typically try to do something to harm you so that way your family can pay. But I love my country. I remember my parents my mom made it her goal to take us back in the summer. We would go swim in the lakes. We would eat fresh foods and vegetables. We would see what it is to wake up in the morning to go get the water so you can come bring it home to boil it so you can take a shower. I had that experience and I want to share with my kids. But right now, the way things are, it's not a good idea to bring it to them. So all I can do is show them pictures and show them videos about the country, which I hope in time will change, that I will have that opportunity to take them back so that they can see where their grandparents are from and where I so proudly love and claim as my country, because it's a beautiful country. Long time ago, Haiti used to be the number one resource for sugar for the U.S. because we had sugar cane. So we had sugar factories, we had sugar cane, we had rice, we would do plantains. A lot of the leather sandals that you saw people used to wear, we used to make those in Haiti. But now we don't have those anymore. We don't have a major source of income related to the U.S. anymore, where we used to have factories for the sugar, the rice, the leather, the woodworking. We don't have those anymore. All of those are gone. All of those are gone. And it breaks my heart sometimes just to think about where our country could have been. Like I said, we were the first country to end slavery before the U.S. And why haven't we grown economically? Why haven't we grown culturally, financially? It's beyond me.
Wow.
It's beyond me.
So now you've also shared about this was offline. We've talked about how you recently, and maybe it was maybe a year ago, maybe if my timeline is incorrect here, when you went back, there was still no running water.
Yeah,
I think you went back for a wedding or a funeral, and there was no running water.
My husband's. For my husband's dad's funeral, we went May of 2018. We went for the funeral, and still no running water. If you go to the hotels in the city, which is the city, the capital for Haiti is Port-au-Prince. And so we had to fly from Atlanta to Florida and then from Florida to Haiti. So when we got to Haiti, we drove to the capital, which is Port-au-Prince. And so from there, in some of the hotels, they have some kind of a structure of running water, but it's running water, but it's not like the U.S. You can tell there's, I think it's maybe it must be well run, but they do have in the capital if you go to a hotel. But if you go to someone's private home, there is no running water. And even you have those people who may be financially able to, for some reason, it's like when you move from this house to another house, you can call Georgia Power, or you can call someone and say, hey, I need my water or I need my light. In Haiti, there's no one for you to call. Everything is, if you know someone that can hook it up to the system, and then they take the power whenever. So even though we were at the hotel and they had electricity, whenever the country wanted to switch off the power, you had to run on generator. Because the hotel ran on a generator. But people who have their private homes, if you don't have a generator yourself, that means you're without power. We call it blackout. So there's no power where you say you pay your power bill to a certain person every month. There's no system like that. They don't have a place where you pay your light and you pay your water bill. So there is running electricity, but the government turns it on and off when they want to. And if you don't have a generator, which majority of the hotels have a generator, because once they take the power, you'll see a couple of seconds like the power go off, and then you hear the generator going. That means we're running on generator right now. And so when I tell you, it was such an eye-opening experience, because I remember going there as a kid, and now here I am in my 40s, and the country is the same way it was when I was 10, 11 years old. I'm like, this is ridiculous. But yeah, we don't have a company. People, basically, land is, if you find land, you can build. Most of the time, you just have to pay respect because the land might belong to someone. So you just have to buy a piece of land and then you build. And then when you build, you don't have, you don't pay a yearly fee. You build, it's yours. You just buy your land and you live. And if you're lucky, you find someone that can go into the system and hook you up to get some electricity. But once again, the electricity is controlled by the government. And so when they turn it off, if you don't have a generator, then that means you need to go get your lanterns.
Lanterns.
You have to get those because they power with gas. And then if you burn candles, you go poor. So you have to go get you some gas and you put your lantern, and then you have your home to have light by using lanterns throughout the house.
So the government's reason for turning it off is just to be spiteful. They just do it just to do it. What is their reason for turning it off?
That I do not know. And even my husband, I asked him, he said they don't know. We don't know why the government does so, because it's not like we're paying for it. So I guess it's their way of, I can't even tell you this stuff.
Wow.
I can't even tell you. They turn it on and turn it off. And the weirdest thing is, like, they'll turn it on during the day, but then they'll turn it off at night. But nighttime is when someone would need the light. But I guess they turn it on so people can watch TV, the little TV that there is there. But it just does not make sense to me for you to turn the lights off at night when you think the country will need, for families to see and, do stuff like that. But yeah, they turn it on and off when they want. When they're in a good mood, sometimes you'll have it on, and you can tell sometimes it's political, because when there is a game and Haiti is playing a soccer game and there's an actual game, they will let the power on. And then I'm like, that's ridiculous. So you'll let the people watch the game because we're fighting in a championship, or we're playing in a championship. But then again, the mom that wants to get her kids stuff ready for school, the next day the power is off at night because there's no game. But there's no real reason why they do it. We don't know why they do it. And there's always been some myth that the French still control the power. But I said, if the French controlled the power, we kicked them out of the country years ago. So it's the government. Why and how, I don't know.
Wow. So before we go, and again, I truly, truly thank you for sharing your experience and sharing some things that are still continuing on today. But like I said, before we go, I want you to share, because I know offline you've shared so many times, and your mother was your everything. She still is in your heart and a part of you and will be forever. But we know that your mother has since passed on, so may she continue to rest in peace. Please share your fondest memory of your mother and how her rearing of your brothers and sisters helped you as a mother and as a wife today. And if you need to take a minute, I understand that. But I do want you to share with the listeners what she was to you. I want to give you that opportunity.
Wow, when I tell you my mom, yesterday I had a funny joke with my son because we've been waiting for that school schedule to come out, and I saw the school schedule and I couldn't understand it, girl, and I was being real extra, getting upset, saying, "Why you pick this? Why you pick that?" And after I had my little woo-saw on, I said, "Come here, baby." You say, mommy loves you, right? I said, "I'm the best mother in the world." He said, "You're the only mom." I said, "No." She said, "I'm the best mother in the world," you know. And I'm like, I had the best mom in the world. When I tell you she was a selfless person, she was selfless. Selfless meaning a mother. I tell people that, remember I told you my mom had 3 kids
Mm-hmm.
before me. She had me with my dad so that she can feed the other 3 because he was a businessman, okay? He was a traveling businessman. He had business in the Bahamas. He had business in Haiti. So she saw an opportunity for her to feed the other 3, okay? So she had me. So after she had me, then things didn't work out with my dad. To feed me is when she had my brother after me. And then when things didn't work out for him, to feed me and my brother and the 3 in Haiti, that's when she met my stepdad. And she
Mm.
had my little brother, his only son, with my mom. So he only has 1 child with her. So she had 5 kids, and he took care of all of us like we were all his own. So a woman like that puts her kids first and put the well-being of her kids first, I mean, who can ask for anything else? She worked as a housekeeper making $2.50 on the beach.
Wow.
And she would come home like in 2020 or 2019, you can't do this, but she would bring leftovers from the hotel, the people's chips, and it was a lot of Jewish people. So she would bring Jewish stuff home. We'd be like, "Mom, what is this? This don't taste good." She's like, "Well, that's what we having for dinner because they didn't want to eat it, so y'all gonna eat it." But we all know in this day and age, you can't bring people's leftovers home because you don't know what it is. But that's just to let you know, she would just bring people leftovers home because they threw it away, and then she would make us eat it. But now that you're grown, you're like, "Mom, you really shouldn't have done that." But she was like, "Did you ever go hungry?" "No, ma'am, we didn't go hungry."
Wow.
So she would make sure that we would be fed. And even though she got diabetes at a young age, and one time she passed out, she was supposed to, when I remember she used to take us to work with her when we were on break because she didn't want to leave us at home. And so when she would go in and she would clock in, she would push her thing in the clock, and they put on a piece of paper the rooms that she had to clean and what time they would check out. So that's how the supervisor knew where to go get them because she had her list of what rooms she gave to each person. So one time it was like almost the end of the day, and she had not returned. And so they started going by the list to see. So she had made it to her 3rd room that she was supposed to clean for the day, and she passed out because her sugar was too low, and she didn't know that she had diabetes at the time. So that
Mm.
was one episode. And then another time she didn't feel good. My dad said, "You know what? You don't need to work. You need to stay at home. You're not 100%. You don't need to work." And so that's when she was forced into being staying a housewife. And that's when she started to get involved in the PTA. And I tell the story all the time. She didn't speak a lick of English, but I just remembered when the school would give stuff for us to take home to our parents. And I would see the other kids, they would come with their parents, and their parents would bring snacks, and the teacher was like, "Hey, so-and-so, hey, so." I'm like, how come I'm not getting all the praise? I want to be the teacher's pet too. It's because their parents would volunteer, and so they treated those kids differently. So I remember the one event that they were going to have, and they needed some parents to bring the snacks. So I brought the paper home, and then she said, "Okay, I will do it." And so she told me to ask the teacher what they needed. And it's like, "Oh, they told us it's going to be like a dinner that they're going to do." Lo and behold, they didn't know my mom was the takeover queen, just like I am. So my mom, I think they thought she was going to do like spaghetti and rolls, but my mom had rice. She had fried turkey. She had macaroni. I remember the people coming down the house like, "What is that smell?" And my dad was at work, so we had to take a cab, And then she tipped the cab, man, $10 for them to carry the pots and all the food into the school because she couldn't do it. And she had a full-on feast. And ever since then, they just knew her as Mommy that would come in like, Mommy, what you cooking tonight? And so she didn't speak in English. She was at every PTA, every school event. She would be the person they would put in charge to bring the snacks or to bring the food. And so that's how she started off volunteering. And I don't even think she knew the impact this would have on me, but just seeing her at that school and seeing people knowing who my mom was and appreciative and loving what she could do and how she would communicate, and that we made that a joke thing at her funeral, is that she communicated through food. My mom is the type of person is for Thanksgiving, she would cook 2 turkeys, and it's only 5 of us in the house. I'm like, Mom, why are you cooking? Because she knew people would just drive by and come with their own Tupperware to come get food from her. And every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, we would have no leftovers because guess what? People would just come home and eat all the food. And my dad never understood because they gave him a free turkey at work. And then she would go they gave him a free turkey and they would give him a gift card. And she would always use the gift card and his free turkey. Mom, my dad's like, why you have to cook? He said, no, you don't know the man that don't have a wife. Or, you know, brother so-and-so, his wife died. Or you know, sister so-and-so. And it's like they knew to just come by and come get their food. So she would share her love through food with people. So my mom was one of the softest people I've ever known, and I get a lot of that from her. And she would just love on anyone. She would be. My mom probably went to. You ever seen like Tyler Perry have his shows like this show? You always have that one lady that goes to every funeral, every wedding. That was my mom. Anybody having a funeral, even though she was a distant, she would go to the funeral. She would go to weddings. It's like she was packed every weekend. Her schedule was booked. She was going to somebody's wedding, somebody's funeral, or somebody's baptism. Because she was booked. And she knew everyone. We had so many people come out to celebrate her. People came from Orlando. People flew, which I didn't think my mom had that influence on people. I thought all the local people would come. But people actually paid tickets to come from out of state. People drove from different parts of Florida who knew her, who had moved on, to come celebrate her. And I love my mom. I still love my mom. I miss my mom. And I tell you guys, as our little girl group, TGBG, I used to speak to her every day, 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day. And how dare you, she called and you don't answer, because her messages was like she was talking to you. Hey, Shaneque, I called you, you didn't answer. I was just calling to check on the grandkids. Or when she saw the Ebola, girl, don't even get me started on Ebola. You remember Ebola?
Yes.
She called me because she saw in the news. Because remember, they brought, I think, the first Ebola case to Emory. All she saw was Atlanta, Emory. She said, she left me a message, Shaneque, I see Ebola in the news. You got to be careful. Don't let Elijah go to Atlanta. I was like, Mom, he's not going to Atlanta. We live in Marietta. I see Ebola in the news. Be careful. I was like, okay, Mom, I will be careful. She would watch the news. She knew when we were going to have bad weather before I even knew. Because that's just to tell you how much she just loved every single one of us. And we all grew up differently. I think I'm the one that took most of her traits, most of the culture. My other brothers, yeah, they're Haitian, but they did not take a lot of the culture with them in their own personal lives as they became young adults or adults now. So I did. So her and I had a certain bond. She would travel for every single pregnancy. You know, I lost 4 before I had my 2. So for 4 miscarriages, one of them I think was like maybe 6 weeks. She even came to the 6 weeks miscarriage. I'm like, Mom, you don't have to come. But she said, no, you're my daughter. I have to come take care of you. You know, she would travel. She was a fearful of planes and escalators. So she would take like one of the mega buses and she would drive for hours. I'm like, Mom, I can get you a ticket. She was like, nope, I'm not going to get on the escalator. I'm not getting on the elevator. So I'm going to take a mega bus and I'm going to come take care of you. And she would come stay for weeks at a time in between my miscarriages. And when I had my first son, she was here for almost 2 months here taking care of me and making sure that Elijah, she said she's not leaving until he gets out of the hospital. And when he got out of the hospital, She was just so ecstatic. She prayed, and she tried to wish all the blessings on him. And that's when she said, it's now your time to be a mother. So then she left me, so that I could be a mother. And the same thing with my daughter Shemaya when she was born. My daughter was in the hospital for almost 8 months. 8 months. She was here the whole time. And when my daughter came out the hospital is when she left. She said, now is your time to be a mother. So I'm thankful for the woman that she was and the woman that she has made me to be. I love her and I miss her every day. I still have her old phone number in my cell phone. I refuse to delete it. And sometimes I say, I want to call and see who's going to answer. But she was a great woman. When I tell you someone who puts herself last, that was her. Dressed to the nines, she would have a tan hat, tan dress, tan shoes, tan purse. She dressed and she always matched and she always looked nice, smelled good. But she was just the life of the party. She was mommy to everyone, or Madame Jacques, or Saint Jacques, to a lot of people. She was my mommy. She was my everything, and it's unfortunate that I lost her so early. My kids don't have a lot of memories of her because they were younger, but I talk about her all the time, and I always reference certain things. I say, well, if you did this to my mom, this is what she would do. And then they was like, what? I'm like, yeah, I had an amazing mom. You have an amazing grandmother. And I thank you, Miss Ty, for allowing me to share my experiences with people. And I know there's a lot of my Haitian, Bahamian sisters and brothers out there that can relate to having parents bring them here. And believe it or not, Miss Ty, some of the worst things that can happen to people that takes this journey that I took is I remember when we were in high school and we graduated high school and we're going to apply for college. Some of my friends did not even know that they were legal until they went to go apply for college. Their parents came here, took the journey with them, and never applied for them to become legal. Wow. So then here is a reality check for them that they can't even go to college because they're not legal. Some of them were able to get legal because it was still pre-9/11, but some of them waited too long, and some of them have been deported, and some of them are still in Florida, and they're still not even legal. So I thank my mom for working hard and cleaning toilets on the beach and doing what she did so that she can save up money to make myself and my dad and her legal, because without that, who would have known what I would have been? I'd probably be working at a flea market or working some under the table job, because if you're not legal, there's certain opportunities that you can't have in the U.S. And she was able to afford that for me, and I appreciate her for that. I really do.
Well, what a wonderful note to end on. And I truly thank you again, Shaneque, for your awesome share. And it does bring tears to my eyes to know that to this day, we still have people in numerous countries that are still suffering. And right here also in our own backyard that is still suffering. And our hope is that one day that we're able to overcome this, because Morgan Freeman said that, Black history, there shouldn't be a Black History Month there, because Black history is American history. So, and also with that, Ola Joseph made the statement, diversity. It's not about how we differ. Diversity is about embracing one another's uniqueness. So even with your awesome share, it shows that no matter how diverse we are, we're all unique in our own way. So thank you again for sharing. And thank you, Hindsighters, for listening on this evening to Keeping It Real with Miss T, where we give you the real tea with a twist. And if you like what you just heard, please share with others. Visit our website at www.hindsightmediaradio.com, where you can subscribe, donate, advertise, and so much more. And don't forget to check out our Facebook page at Keeping It Real with Miss T -T with a twist on Hindsight Media Radio 103.5 FM. And Shaneque, if you can just say peace and love and good night in Creole, we would appreciate that.
All right. Well, au revoir, toutes amis haïtiens. Merci pour ton nous à soir. And merci, Miss Ty, pour opportunity pour me gagner chance pour me parler avec nous à soir. Au revoir. Bye-bye.
Good night, Hindsighters, and we'll look forward to speaking with you next Monday. Good night.
Good night.
You have just listened to Keeping It Real with Miss T, where we give you tea with a twist. Join Miss Ty with special guests including you, Mondays at 7 and 9 p.m. via www.hindsightmediaradio.com, where there's always something good to talk about.